Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Toby's Talk Show, and today I thought that we could talk about the Donovan Mitchell injury that recently just happened, and also get into kind of the Jazz, their season, well, their amazing season this year, and what I think they could do in the playoffs. Obviously, if Donovan Mitchell is, okay, because if not, they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. That's the short answer. But let's get right into it. Donovan Mitchell today in a game jumps up in the air, lands a little funny on his ankle, and it seems like he can't really put any pressure on it. It's not a good look, but the X-rays just came back and they were clean, so it's most likely an ankle sprain, which obviously it could be 1 to 2 weeks, or it could be something like LeBron, like a high ankle sprain. I think LeBron had, which has been like 6 to 8 weeks already. It probably no, probably a little short. It's probably going to end up being like 8 to 10 weeks for LeBron. So it'll be interesting because 10 weeks, we only have a month till the playoffs, or at least till the season ends. So that would be very, very interesting. The Jazz are an interesting team because they're the best record in the league right now at what, 40 and like 12. I'll confirm that in a second. Probably like 40 and 17. They are 40. Stop with the ads. They are 41 and 14. So yeah, amazing record, best record in the league right now. And they'll most likely ending up being a 1 or 2 seed. Honestly, probably a 2 seed now because the Suns are hot, and Mitchell will probably be out for at least a few games. And the Suns are only a game behind the Jazz. But talking about the injury, it's going to be very interesting because we know the Jazz. We've seen them in the playoffs before, and they haven't really ever gotten over that hump in the past few years with the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert duo, since they've been a big time duo since Donovan Mitchell basically got in the league and he blew it up. They beat the Thunder and then lost to the Rockets, I believe. Yes, the Rockets. Mitchell had that putback dunk. Never forget that one. In round two, last year they obviously lost to the Nuggets in Game 7, where Mitchell and Murray went at it. And the year before that, they made the playoffs, right? I think they made the playoffs, but I know they didn't go far. But so yeah, they, since the Jazz have had their duo, they have not made the Western Conference Finals. And this year seems like the year they could kind of break that, but at the same time, no fan has seen this Jazz team, the key players, being there for the past few years, succeed in that way. Right now when you look at it, they're the first seed. They should, be the number one threat for the championship, or should be, the team that everyone thinks will win the championship, but they're not, right? Because you have the Lakers, you have the Nets, you have the Clippers, you have the Suns. There are so many great teams, and if the Jazz, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jazz lost in round one, because they most likely, if Curry, does his thing, which he most likely will, they're gonna have to play Curry in round one, or if they drop to two, they'll most likely have to play Luka or even Dame in round one if the Mavericks go up and the Blazers drop. Obviously, the season's not final yet, but the Jazz are not going to have an easy round one game, or round one opponent. And I don't know. I think it's interesting because this Jazz team, it's very, very, very good. Especially in the regular season, it makes sense. They hit their threes. But the playoffs are a different animal. Teams get to prepare a lot more for that specific team. And yeah, I don't know. Can Mitchell be that guy to close out games? If Mitchell is hurt, or if Mitchell isn't having a good game, who's going to be the guy to step up for them in other situations? If Kawhi, let's say the Clippers and Jazz face around two, if Kawhi is guarding Mitchell, and you have Paul George guarding your second best option. I'll take Paul George if Jordan Clarkson's taking the last shot. Paul George over him, even though we know the history of Paul George defending shots for the win. Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, etc. But yeah, I don't know. I find the Jazz very interesting. They're the best team in the league record-wise, but they're probably not the best team, talent-wise and threat for the championship-wise. And I think it could be interesting because like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jazz lost round one. My guess is Mitchell will be okay by playoffs. If he's not, this video is pretty much useless. The Jazz aren't doing anything. But if he is, which he most likely will be, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jazz lost in round one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Jazz's, 3-point shots and defense help them all the way to the finals or the Western Conference Finals. I think, they're probably the biggest with the Suns. I probably trust the Suns more, just because they have Chris Paul, like a veteran leader. Obviously, they have Mike Conley, the Jazz, but I'd rather Chris Paul any day. So I'd probably take the Suns, but I think the Jazz, And the Suns didn't they just they the Suns recently just beat the Jazz. But I think it'll be very interesting because the Suns and Jazz are both teams like you don't really know. They haven't been here before. Suns in terms of they haven't been in the playoffs in so long, and the Jazz they haven't been like this one seed dominant force before. So I think it's going to be very interesting, especially because they're going to have to play legends like LeBron, Kawhi, Jokic, etc. So yeah, I mean it's going to be very interesting. I just want to get this video out. Let me know your thoughts on the Jazz down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Bye.